Hi there, today on Typical Books we're going to be talking about Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. I'm not really clear on pronunciation of the last name, so if you have any tidbits on how to pronounce for me, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I see a lot of people saying that this is their top read for 2021. I wouldn't give it that lofty of praise. There was some things in this that I found kind of slow, but it was innovative, it was alluring, and it was poetic. I loved reading this book. I was mostly intrigued to read this by watching Sadie Hartman's little TikTok video about some books that feature special meat or barbecue. If you haven't seen that little video yet, I definitely check it out. Go over to TikTok, find Mother Horror. I think it may be on her Instagram as well, and find that video because I thought it was hilarious and it was great because it also details a whole lot of books I really like and some new ones to me about cannibalism. There, I said it, cannibalism. That's what this book is about, cannibalism, special meat. That's no spoiler, it's right at the beginning and it's right in the synopsis. We have had a virus that has tainted all of the animals on Earth. Then they become the enemy. We have wiped most of them out. Not willing to give up our meat-eating tendencies and give ourselves over entirely to a vegan lifestyle, then we have to eat some sort of meat, don't we? So long pork is on the menu. It's not an extreme horror novel in that it is not all about hunting down humans and slaughtering them in viscerous, horrible, bloody ways. That would be fun and all, and that's been done. There's lots of books about eating people. This takes it into a dark, dystopian, poetic, and beautifully sad landscape. As a teen, I was a huge fan of the film THX 1138, and that was far beyond the time when it was used as a sample in some Trent Reznor 9 Inch Nails music stuff. So not too many years before that. So when I heard it in that music, so those sorts of dystopian stories that are very relatable because we can see ourselves coming into that sort of reality, especially when things are getting more stark or bleak or simplified, minimalized, and antisocial. That sort of world really works, and I think that this and the THX 1138 world aren't too far off from one another. So if you enjoy that, 1984 of course, Brave New World is another one. Definitely akin to this sort of work. So if you're interested in that sort of dark fiction as far as our future is concerned, I think that Tender is the Flesh is a really good addition to that. I think that if I were to see this filmed, I'm picturing something like THX 1138. Agustina's writing is poetic, and I really love this about reading translated works. It's a whole other chance for this novel to be polished, I believe. I would love if I could instantly learn a whole bunch of languages to read it in its native format, because I think that a lot is lost in translation, yet at the same time we do get some sort of poetic beauty when it is in the hands of a skilled translator, which I believe it is. This is a Scribner edition, and it is translated from the Spanish by Sarah Moses, and I'd have to say she did a fantastic job because it is just beautiful to read. I'm sure the source material was as beautiful. This is being adapted into a television series from what I understand, and I could see it as a film. I want to see it as a film. While reading this, I could picture this screenplay in a way. The scenes are so sparsely painted, it leaves a lot to the imagination, but that sparseness, that room to breathe, the room for desolation and sadness, and the missing of animals to really sink in, I think would be a real boon. So I'm hoping that whoever's hands this lands in for the screen gives it all of that breathing room that it needs, and the quietness and the space and the sparseness. The sparseness of emotion is a theme within this. Marcos is a little bit of an automaton. He has been shell-shocked by tragedy over and over. His wife is not living with him at this time. He's lost a son. They had had a young son, and they are childless, although they really wanted to be a full-on family. It's just them, and she's away right now, so it's just him living at this meat processing plant, special meat processing plant. And it is a cold and soulless job. If you've ever worked at a processing plant, which I haven't, but I know people that did work at a pheasant farm, and it is just a cold, monotonous, sad existence, and it stinks too, right? So they talk about all of those things as far as meat processing. I've had hunters and farm life in my family and in my past, so I'm very familiar with the detachment that is involved with that sort of thing. But that detachment that's involved, whether you grasp it or not, or can imagine it or not, is portrayed extremely well here with that other level of this being human beings. So I loved the way that this was taken. And we're dealing with somebody who, as I had said, is emotionally shell-shocked. So they are kind of running on autopilot at a lot of the time. The people that are around him, he doesn't necessarily like, whether it be family, coworkers, friends, sort of question mark. He doesn't have a lot of friends because he just doesn't allow anyone to get very close to him. I believe that that is key to really understand once you get further on, if not to the very end of this book, is that he does not allow anyone to get close to him necessarily. And you see him pushing away people left, right, and center. He's extremely antisocial, yet he does have soft spots. And as the reader, because we're the only person really close to him, we get to see those. And it is a really valuable trick to play in that we see him being so antisocial, pushing so many people away. He spends a lot of time alone, but we are spending that time with him. So I really love that tactic. I loved Marcos as a character. He is just supremely tragic. So it is sort of a weird place to be asked to be, and you're witnessing a lot of death. Now, of course, speaking about the processing of special meat is not all about death in this book. There's a lot of other steps that go along with it, or the training of employees. So we get to talk about all of these things. If you ever have read a science fiction novel or something that is a light science fiction or light fantasy, and you just want to stop the book and see how this one thing works, you get that treat in this book. It stops a lot to let you know how things work, and it is by no means jarring. It is not info dumping, really. It's stuff that you'd be genuinely interested in, I guess, for future preparations if we ever end up in this position. Which we won't, ever. And if we did, I mean, wow. Wow. And that is part of the real joy of this book. Many levels of joy reading this book is that it gives a glimpse into an alternate reality where things have gone terribly, terribly wrong with a virus. We are living in a world right now where things have gone terribly wrong with a virus that doesn't have this same sort of repercussion. So it makes me feel really lucky that all I have to do is hang out without being 6 feet from people and having to wear a mask. It's a decent trade comparing this to what we're living right now. And it seems we are coming out the other side of this slowly but surely. I think in this particular book, although there are hints that is an end maybe to this, they're not working toward an end. Where we globally are working toward an end to our current situation as far as the pandemic goes. And this book, I don't believe they are. So that's really up for debate. You'd have to read it and let me know what you think as far as, is the world globally happy with the situation that they've put themselves into or ended up in this book? Or in Tender as the Flesh, are they actually working toward it? Do you see them coming out the other side of that? I think that's the book club discussion point when it comes to this particular book. So Tender as the Flesh was a fantastic read, super dark, and I really enjoyed the poetic nature of the prose here. I've got a few books on the go, so next up is Harvest Home by Thomas Tryon. If you've read it, let me know. I'm very interested because Regina has nothing but good things to say about that book. So do a lot of other people, and looking at the reviews of this, many of them are saying, I can see why everyone else loved this book and I had to read it too, and also now it's my favorite book ever. If there's any other cannibalistic, dystopian, dark future things that are akin to or adjacent to horror that you think I ought to be reading, definitely let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and have an ooky, spooky day.